Okay. Welcome for this lecture 3. We'll be looking at Internet of Things. Do not put the recordings in the chat, put it in the WhatsApp group so that we know people who have attended. All right, so today we are going to look at module 3, Internet of Things, IoT. Now, what do we understand by IoT? So by definition, IoT basically refers to a network of interconnected devices embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to collect, exchange, and analyze data. So that is what is our understanding about Internet of Things. So let's see how we can look at it in that way. So understanding of IoT, which is Internet of Things, and its component. So by its definition, refers to the network of interconnected devices embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to collect, exchange, and analyze data. So that's what you could say about the definitions of Internet of Things. Now, there's also one thing that we could also look at it when it comes to what are these devices which are referred as IoT. These devices are often referred to as smart devices. They can communicate with each other and with centralized system over the internet. And they create a seamless network or a physical object and digital systems. Some of these devices, you've been using them, not knowing, like devices like Bluetooth, cellular network, all these devices that are used for motion detectors, and even some of these cloud platform devices that are used for applications like controlling the monitors, okay? Then recording devices for sound. All those devices are examples of IoT. Now, let us try to look at some of those components, because here we said we are understanding what IoT is, which we look at it as a network of, refers to a network of interconnected devices embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to collect, exchange, and analyze data. Now, these components of IoT, when we look at it very well, is that, remember that we are not looking at IoT in details. Since we are looking at emerging technologies, our goal is basically to have just to have the understanding of IoT. Now, and when you have the understanding, then we can look at how we can approach some of those questions with the IoT. Now let's look at it in this way. There are what we call sensors. Sensors basically are IoT devices. Of course, they are equipped with various sensors to collect data from the surrounding, such as temperature, humidity, motion, and light. One of the common sensors which are being used is the sensor for collecting noise pollution within the air quality, the air core, which is a project being run by some small sector within Makerere University called Air Core Project. So for them, what they do, those sensors collect the noise and tells you how polluted our air is. So, and with such sensors, definitely you will be able to know how polluted the air is. Because when you look at the streets in Kampala, there are so many cars. Some cars emit a lot of carbon dioxide, which those carbons basically that comes from the cars, that literally affects, even when we breathe in, it affects our lungs, and that is a threat to our lifespan. Then we also have connectivity devices like IoT devices that uses wireless or wired connectivity protocols. Have a look at those of you who have Wi-Fi's. Wi-Fi, you can connect maybe 10 users, 16 users, 32 users. Those pocket Wi-Fi's are examples of IoT things, Internet of Things. They use some kind of a network to enable you get that wireless connectivity across the protocol. Look at Bluetooth technology. Most of you these days don't use cable to connect to your speakers. The speaker is having kind of a software that helps you connect using Bluetooth, which is an infrared frequency for sending data over short distances. So we also have what is called Zigbee. Of course, most of you don't know what Zigbee is because some of these technologies are very new to you, but they're emerging. And then we also have cellular networks like the 5G. The 5G, I don't know whether most of you have had access to use 5G services. Their speed of data access is very fast compared to the 4G technology. And of course, they transmit data over other devices or centralized systems. Then we also have what we call other components like the data processing. Now, with the data processing, when you talk about data, you understand it's raw fact, and it's actually where most of the energy is being centered to. So with data processing, IoT devices processes the data collected from sensors using embedded software or edge computing capabilities to derive insights and make predictions. Now, in that way, when you look at some of these IoT devices that process data collected from sensors, uh, they they are basically used for making insights and decisions. So when you collect data, those data are later being analyzed. And from the analysis, there are those predictions, the models which are created that can help predict some of those, it helps to give the insight of those data. Insight means it tells you how bad, like the air quality, how bad our air is polluted based on the data that is collected. Because when you try to search around, you realize that no one is having data about air pollution in Uganda. But we are lucky with some of these research works which are being funded under research and development. There's a lot of people doing research trying to get or gather data that can help people basically to analyze this data so that they can make some predictions and give you insight. Insight means understanding of the data. Now we also have what we call cloud platforms. So when you look at data collected by IoT devices that are normally stored and analyzed in a cloud-based platforms like the AWS, the Azure, and those are cloud platforms that are used for dynamic analytics and machine learning algorithms. So all these data can generate what we call actionable intelligence that can be applied to give greater insights into the data. Then we also have what we call applications, and also with the applications, there's what they call user application and user interfaces. When you look at the IoT applications, it provides interfaces for users to monitor, control connected devices, set preferences, and receive alerts and notifications. So if within your phone, when you're moving around areas where there are internet hotspots, your phone can alert you that there's a Wi-Fi signal that is present. So that is typically a component of IoT. Now, we will look at some sample questions and I will show you how to answer those questions later. Now, let's also look at the applications of IoT. So when you look at IoT, is that they are being applied. Applications means they are being applied across industries. And of course, they are transforming those industries. And one of the advantages is that it is increasing on the efficiency and it's enabling what? New capabilities. Some of the key sectors where this IoT is making significant impact, like the smart cities. I wish Uganda attains the middle income status. You like maybe Rwanda, of course, Rwanda is developed in terms of infrastructure and then the roads, and then the smart cities. There are things that you can use for e-waste. You know, like waste products that are being disposed, you use apps which are connected that can alert you when your garbage bin is full, so that the garbage, the garbage bin collectors can come and pick them timely. So, smart cities is one of the areas where IoT is being applied in. In Europe, it's actually very widely used, especially for managing traffic. Traffic jam, Kampala jam is the most annoying jam ever. You guys, have you ever sat in a taxi in a place which is like 10 kilometers and you spend over 2 hours to reach? Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced that as a class? Is there someone who has experienced sitting in a jam? Hmm? You want to say something about that experience? Do you know, today I actually moved up to Entebbe and I came back for this lecture. Do you know the time I spent? When I was coming from Entebbe, I spent 35 minutes to reach town. When I was coming from town, I spent about 40 minutes. And the distance, when you look at it, that was 40 kilometers plus 25 kilometers. Those are like 75 kilometers, like from here to Ginger. Do you know if the traffic is okay, someone can stay in Ginger and come and work in Kampala and goes back? Do you think that is possible with smart cities, IoTs? Let's look at it in terms of electric
Yes,
train.
it's very possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Ginger is very near. Or someone can stay. Of course, these days from Mukono people work. Even that place called what? Where they sell a lot of chicken when you're going to Ginger. It's called what? Na, what do you call that place?
Namawojolo.
Namawojolo. So someone can stay there and works in the city. It's very possible. So the problem here is that the drivers are reckless on the road, they're impatient, they're very chaotic. That is why we have this challenge of people moving. Because if you have traffic management, IoT sensors, it will tell you on the phone, even with the Google map. Some of you, if you know, your device can show you uh, ro roads where you can routes where you can use with less traffic if you use Google. But of course, it's one of the IoT thing is that it helps to monitor traffic flow and optimize on signal timing and provide real-time data for improving congestion and reduce what? Commute times. You know, when you commute and you come from far, it is very painful to sit. Like now, people who are going back to their places, it is 7, but they're going to reach at 10. Very annoying. You spend a lot of time and you waste a lot of time. So There's also another thing which is called what? Another thing which is called energy management. Mm. So now, with energy management, uh, okay. So with energy management is that smart grid and IoT enabled devices optimize energy distributions and monitor usage patterns. So let's look at it in terms of promoting energy efficiency in urban areas. If you want to know how much area consumes a lot of energy, electricity, by the way, the village transformers are not the same as the urban transformers because there are very many people who connect to that grid. So the transformers are very powerful compared to the one in the village. Did you realize that? Even in terms of the size. Because that helps you to what? To monitor. That helps you to monitor what? To monitor the energy usage. And then you can control, even in the city, there are some areas that don't use a lot of electricity. Like if you go to Nasa Road, the kind of cable that is being used for connecting electricity are bigger compared to the one which are being used around your home. If you notice. So that is how they manage that. That's how they manage the, the energy grids, which using the IoT enabled devices. Then we also have what we call waste management. Now, waste management, I talked about it. There's what we call your management, your waste management. It's actually one of the things which the government is being working. Actually, it's one of the things government is working on within urban areas. Is that waste management? Uh, Basically, they use bins, smart bins equipped with sensors to optimize waste collection to reduce routes or reduce operational cost. Like if I have to drive my car around to look for trash cans that are full, I may end up going to a place where the trash can is not full. But if I use smart bins, which sends me an alert once the bin is full, to that particular spot and collect the one which are full, and then leave the one which are not full. And of course, in that it saves what? Wastage of resources. Now, let's look at it in terms of agriculture. Now, precision agriculture. IoT sensors monitor soil moisture, temperature, and nutrient level, enabling farmers to optimize irrigation, fertilization, and crop management practices for higher yields and resource efficiency. So that's when you look at it in terms of precision agriculture. And one of the things I've realized with IoT devices is that each and every time you want to build a module, like your AI module, but the overall thing is that it will help you to what? To understand the irrigation, fertilization of this crop management. Now, there's also another thing called livestock monitoring. You have maybe like 10,000 heads of cattle. So you can have kind of wearable radio frequency identity tags to track the health, behavior, and then location of livestock. This is not only used in livestock alone, but even in wildlife conservation, monitoring giraffes, lions. You want to know how many lions are there, where do they feed. You could, are the one which are sick. So you could basically use what they call what? Uh, Wearable RFIDs tags to help track those our livestock. It could even be the wildlife, and that can also prevent loss. Of course, you know some of these wildlife are getting extinct, and the best way to conserve them is to keep them within the game reserves And once they're within the game reserves, you also need to monitor them. Now, another thing is that we also have what we call manufacturing. So, like when you look at one area like predictive maintenance. So in manufacturing, we have what we call predictive maintenance. Now, IoT monitors, uh, I think I will remove this word manufacturing and put it on top. Then in manufacturing, we use it for predictive management, maintenance, where IoT sensors monitor equipment performance, detect abnormalities. Now, let me tell you one thing, like there's a company called Coca-Cola. They wanted to analyze the fault tolerance of their system. How frequent do the system break down? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm still on. How frequent do the system break? Predict failures. You see, it's here. Predict potential failures before occurring, and reducing downtime, minimizing maintenance costs, and optimizing product schedules. It's also one of the key things that is affecting the areas of manufacturing. Then there is also what we call supply chain management. Like IoT enabled tracking devices monitor the movement and conditions of goods throughout the supply chain, providing real-time visibility, optimizing inventory management, and then reducing loss due to what? Theft or damage. So if you want to monitor your supply chain, you can use tracking devices to monitor those movement of big trailers across, within, and out of the country to avoid where people drive away with your goods. So it is also one of the good areas where we can what? Look at it. When you look at those, it is still in manufacture. I think this is a repeated slide. Oh, the slides are repeated. Okay. Okay. Predictive maintenance. Okay. That one is okay. Supply chain, that is okay. Uh, okay. Now, let's look at it in terms of security and privacy issues in IoT ecosystems. Now, the biggest issues when it comes with IoT devices is that each and every time we have issues related with privacy in IoT system. What are some of those security challenges like integrity, confidentiality, and availability of data? Sometimes your data can be rendered unavailable. Have you ever heard of this virus called ransomware that can make you hostage of your data? So it's one of the most common things that can happen. Now, how do you ensure that our security of our data is being safe? Is that data privacy, IoT devices collect vast amount of data and sensitive data, raising concerns about unauthorized access. People are worried that since you are collecting our data, there may be security breaches, privacy violations, and then implementation of encryptions across those access controls and data anonymizations. Anonymization is a technique where you protect users' identity. You only give data which are meant to be given out, that cannot give true meaning of the data. Then we also have what we call cybersecurity. So IoT devices are often vulnerable to cyber attacks such as malware, denial of service attack. I have already talked about one of the attacks is like ransomware. They can make you hostage of your data. And of course, it raises a lot of security, and then there's need for strong authentication mechanism because some of these systems are not well what designed. That's why there's a lot of what there's a lot of vulnerability attacks such as malware infections, denial of services is basically they make you hostage of your data. You can't access your data unless you pay a certain amount of money, then they make it available for you. So then there's also what they call network segmentation, which is crucial to mitigate some of this cybersecurity risk. Okay. There's also what we call a security issues in IoT system, which is called what? Data integrity. And of course, very well, if you guys are very familiar with integrity, is that it's your moral conduct, literally. Now, when you look at ensuring the accuracy and readability of data collected by IoT devices, it's basically essential for informing, for all making informed decisions and preventing manipulation or tampering. So you need to really encrypt to avoid situations where data can be tampered. Let's look at it in banking sectors. There are some people who have their cousin brothers working in the bank, but their brother or cousin have that intention of going ahead and modifying data. Let's say you are earning 500,000 shillings and your brother goes and put just 1 0. You would have cheated the company 4.5 million. And that is a very big issue. So that integrity check, that audit trails helps maintain data integrity. Then there's also what we call interoperability. Like the ecosystems basically consists of diverse platforms, protocols, rule which govern communication on the network. Then there's these standards that are supposed to be followed. All this leads to interoperability. Operability means challenges. It sometimes affects the operational. Maybe testing, you need to go through the manager to get the seamless integration so that they get their signatures in. If the signatures are not in, then the system won't work. All those, maybe get a letter, the ethical letter. So all those are challenges. Now, there's also what we call an important note here. Please just know that I move through this presentation very fast. And the reason why I move through it very fast is I want us to spend time and look at how do we answer questions. Okay. Now, so that means this will bring us to the end of module 3 today. Now we will be able to look at module 4. Now let's look at it in this way. IoT technologies have the potential to revolutionize the industry, and but addressing security and privacy concern is also essential to realize the full benefits of IoT while minimizing the use, while minimizing the risk to users, organization, and collaborative efforts from stakeholders. Manufacturers, policymakers, and cybersecurity experts. All these are necessary to develop robust security framework and best practices to secure a trustworthy IoT deployment so that people really become comfortable with the deployment of these IoTs. So I hope you have listened to me. Let me get back to you with questions. So any questions up to this point? Because this brings us to the end of this. So what we are going to do basically here now, we are going to look at sample questions and answers. Do you have questions? Do you have any question to this point? I'm going to share the notes. I don't know whether, but let me try to see if I can share the notes right away. And then the questions. But you can ask questions.
Not from me. Okay. Maybe just get the notes and read through again to understand.
Yeah, please read them. You know why the advantage with this Zoom thing is that it helps you to what? To cover more. because we're a little bit moving faster. So you can see the semester is beginning, but for us, we are now rushing. And it is good because when you rush and finish this syllabus, it will give you time for revision. And the test, you'll have what to read earlier. So that is a very good benefit. Let me try to see if I can get the WhatsApp thing and share it with you. Okay. So the challenge which I have here is not a challenge, but I'm going to solve it. Okay, I'm first going to share it in one group. Then I will forward it to your group. I needed to share the PDF, not the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, you should be able to see the notes now. Now for that is the notes. Then there's something which I need also to, I don't know whether I will share it with you now, but I will share it later. I'm not going to share it with you. We shall just discuss them so that your other colleagues can check them later here. So let me stop sharing that and exit full screen, then also share this particular part of the. Okay, now you have the notes, you don't blame me. Now this particular part of our discussion is going to be how you will answer questions. Now to answer a question basically means explain the concepts of Internet of Things and then discuss the components. How do sensors and how do sensors, connectivity, data processing, cloud platform, and user interfaces contribute to the functionality of IoT ecosystem? So first, this is how you should answer it. You need to explain the concept. You need to define Internet of Things. Where you say Internet of Things refers to network of interconnected devices embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies that enable them to collect, exchange, and analyze data. These devices often referred to as smart devices and communicate with each other and analyze centralized system over internet, creating seamless. Of course, the definition stops here. Is that refers to network of interconnected devices embedded with sensors, softwares, and other technologies that enable them to collect, exchange, and analyze data. Now, that is how you define it. And then they say discuss its component. Now you talk about the components of IoT. You need to mention sensors. What are sensors being used? Are devices equipped with variables to collect data. That is how you explain it. Then you can talk about connectivity, wireless connectivity, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Yeah, you explained it. Data processing. IoT devices collect data from sensors, embedded system, and you explain that. Then we also have what we call cloud platforms. Data collected from IoT are stored on cloud-based platforms where advanced analytics and machine learning algorithms can be applied to generate actionable intelligence. That is also a good one. Then applications and user interfaces. IoT provides interface for users to and control connected devices, set preferences, and receive alerts and notification. That's also a good one. Then you can go to the next question. Explain the applications of IoT in smart cities, agriculture, manufacturing. Then you say IoT are diverse applications across industries, transforming processes, enhancing efficiency, and enabling new capabilities. In smart cities, they are used for traffic management, blah, 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 controls the flow or monetize the real-time data to improve on the congestions and reduce on the commute times. Energy management, you talk about other being used for energy distribution, waste management, that is in smart cities. In agriculture, you talk about precision agriculture, IoT, uh, monitors soil, moisture, temperature, and nutrients level. Then livestock, you say it is being used to track health, behavior, and locations of livestock. This livestock can either be even wildlife, they can also be tracked using IoTs. Then manufacturing, predictive maintenance, IoT sensors, equip, equipment, IoT sensors monitors equipment performance, detect abnormalities. Like of course, I told you with failures when they occur, reducing on the downtime, minimizing maintenance, and then optimizing production schedule. There's supply chain management. IoT enable tracking device and then monitor the movement and condition of goods throughout the supply chain. Then the next question is discuss security and privacy issues in IoT ecosystem. What are the concerns related to cyber security and data integrity and interoperability? How can these concerns be addressed to ensure trustworthiness of IoT deployments? Then here you say, while IoT offers numerous benefits, uh, it also introduces security and privacy challenges that must be addressed to ensure integrity, confidentiality, and availability. So integrity, in fact, this is CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data and system. Data privacy, you talk about it, security breaches, violations, cyber security, IoT often vulnerable, blah, 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 denial of services, and then data integrity, ensuring that the accuracy and reliability of data by IoT devices for making informed decisions and preventing manipulation or tampering. Like the audit trail, interoperability, the IoT ecosystems consists of diverse devices and platforms that may have different protocols and standards and security mechanism leading to interoperability challenges. Yeah, that is how you respond to that question. So I believe when you have this kind of answer techniques, for me, when you answer like this, I give you 20 out of 20 and it will help you in section B. So I want to stop the recording and then maybe we have some talk. Then we close the class because this one is not a lot. The next one is going to be our next topic next week is going to be what? Let me check. Our next topic is going to be, okay, just a second. So our next topic is going to be, next week we are going to look at blockchain technologies. So then after next week, we shall go to another week and look at augmented reality. So next week, blockchain technologies. I hope we will also finish blockchain technologies next week so that we can now look at virtual reality. That's when I will give you a project. I want to give you a project in virtual reality and augmented reality. That's why I'm interested in. Okay, so let me stop the recording.